I have received many, many emails, 20 plus emails, and then some Facebook comments on the matches from yesterday. The match, the Zverev Murray match. People want to hear my comments on that match. But I'm sure some of you feel the same way I do today. I have jet lag. I stayed up and I watched the first match, and then I stayed up and watched the second match between Nishikori and Federer. But I took just 2 minutes to write down some reasons on why people don't serve and volley, or why did the serve and volley go away. One comment, Bill Tilden. Bill Tilden, great champion in the 20s. He wrote a book, Match Play and Spin of the Ball. It's pretty simple. Tilden wrote, what beats baseline? Net beats baseline. Net beats baseline. Now, Vic Braden had a great comment. He was once at the Easter Bowl watching junior tennis, and he said to me, they might as well just mail in the scores, because everybody was playing backcourt tennis, just running around the backhand looking for a forehand. I call that clones taught by clowns. Now we'll get into that, because lack of instruction is a big problem with why people don't play all over the court. Will the serve and volley come back? Yeah, it'll come back. Everything is cyclical. With money is a big reason why people serve and stay back. There's not enough emphasis on doubles. Pro tennis all the way down to junior tennis. It's been discussed and it's been implemented a little bit where wouldn't it be great if your doubles ranking, your singles ranking were one? The most complete player is the player who has the highest single ranking combined with doubles ranking, like an Edberg and a McEnroe, who are both number one in singles and doubles. So there's not enough emphasis on doubles. People want to watch the marquee players, and the marquee players are playing singles only. Going way back to when money first came into tennis. Jimmy Connors won Wimbledon playing doubles with Nastase. He won the US Open, same partner. But then shortly after that, because of the money and singles, the lack of money in doubles. The great players years ago, at the Grand Slams, they played all three events. They all played the mix, the top players. With junior programming. Now with junior programming, young players used to take one lesson a week, and then they would go to work. They would do baskets with their friends, they would go to the backboard, they play mini tennis, but they would hang around tennis facilities, and then veteran players would say, hey kid, you want to be our fourth? And the kid would serve and stay back, and then the senior player would say, hey, get up here to the net. So, lack of match play. Another thing in tournaments is win now. That's money. Okay? When it comes down to tournaments are money makers. And years ago in the United States, for example, you couldn't be ranked until you're a 13-year-old player. And then now, by the time someone is 13 years old, they've played tons of tennis and they haven't gone to the net. Because when you're this tall, you go to the net to lose at a faster rate. And with that, you can also be passed very easily. With the grass at Wimbledon. In 2002, they changed the grass at Wimbledon. Roger Federer, in my opinion, he'd have more Grand Slam titles if they didn't change the grass at Wimbledon. The surface was made slower. In 2002, Nalbandian and Hewitt played in the Wimbledon final, and neither one of them served volleyed one time. It'd be very interesting if the grass remained very, very, very fast. Federer, for example, such a great forehand. And if people read about Federer, he will say, coming up in the juniors and even now, that he goes to his forehand as a weapon versus going to the net. With the thing that comes up first with serve and volley is definitely the rackets. Say in college tennis, for example, now kids with the rackets, they're hitting ground strokes 80 miles an hour, for example. And all this ties in together, and the kid has been taught really poor grips on volleys. Plus, they just haven't been to the net, so they finally show up to play college tennis. And the coaches are going to go, well, the returns are better than the volleys. So now in college tennis, you see players playing one up, one back. So they're not volleying. In the United States, the NTRP, we used to have more veteran versus youth matches because we used to have A and B tournaments. And if a junior could win 2 B tournaments, which was an open tournament, 14-year-olds could play 40-year-olds. But what would happen is if you won 2 B tournaments, then you could play A tournaments, and then you'd get exposure. So we've lost the history, the connection from a previous generation, even at club tennis, because juniors are only playing juniors. And they're playing someone on the other side of the net. So in the US, and again, the NTRPs have been a very successful business model for social adult tennis. But it's one of the reasons that junior tennis and senior tennis have been separated. And the appreciation of history starts at the pro level as well. The pro players, certainly they'll have respect for the legends, but are they really studying the legends? Would a Pete Sampras with his skill set do okay playing against some of the players today? Do people actually go back and study Sampras? The last time he played an official match, he beat Agassi in 4 sets. He came to the net 104 times. I don't think teachers are teaching that to juniors. Navratilova won Wimbledon 9 times. She could come in with an underspin approach shot. I always challenge tennis groups, can we name 9 players that have hit that shot since she's retired? You can go to a junior tournament for an entire week, say a 3-day tournament. You may not see an overhead, let alone a one-handed underspin backhand. So tennis teaching is in a crisis. What happened yesterday's match, and so many people have contacted me, people need to watch what Zverev did. You know, he's not going to stay back and go toe-to-toe and beat Murray from the baseline, but he's got options. He came in. What a great athlete. With creativity in junior tennis, creativity in tennis, we're going to play 1-bounce doubles. All 4 players are going to come to the net after the return. We're going to play points where you serve underhand. The returner has to come in. So the server stays back. The server is going to stay back and be the counter-attacker. The player coming in is going to be the attacker. Games like 7-11, you don't hear those anymore. So with little kids, what I do when I have them play 7-11, the serve and volleyer, if they get to 7, they win. But with big kids, they play serve and volley, and you serve the entire game. And if you get to 11 before the returner gets to 7, then you would win. But again, just creativity. The young kids playing tennis with the red balls. And again, there's so many great people trying to help the great game of tennis out. But a lot of times, decision makers haven't been in the trenches teaching tennis. So say in our country, the USTA, for example, with the red ball. Okay, it's bigger than a tennis ball, it's soft, a transition ball, compression ball. Wouldn't it be great if we had little kids playing 1-bounce doubles, and then they would develop the instincts. So they're playing doubles, and they go to the net, and they may go to the net with poor technique. Little 7, 8-year-olds learning to play, but they're told, hey, if the ball bounces twice, you lose the point. So that's another example of creativity. Lack of knowledge. Players need to know the geometry of the court. When you go to the net, you have 130 degrees of volume potential 3 feet from the net. Let me see, I'm talking a little bit fast. We've got to start a little clinic here in a minute. But let me finish up on a few things. With knowledge. So you have more angle when you go to the net. Your opponent has less space, you have more space. Your opponent has less time. Now granted, you have less time as well, so you have to go in from a very early age. And the number one reason people don't go to the net is they don't go to the net. It's brain memory. They're conditioned. Like John Isner, I'm going to guess that when he played basketball, he could get under the boards and go for rebound, and it was very spontaneous. But from a very young age, he did not serve and volley. And again, can you imagine serving that big and not coming in behind it? So a lack of knowledge. With players want to win. Parents want their player to win, their child to win. Fan is short for fanatical. They're biting their fingernails, they're climbing the fence, they want them to win the 2-inch trophy. And also too, the grassroots level coach, they want their kid to win, the kid they're coaching, because of bragging rights. And winning's confusing. I always say the person who plays in a 1200 tournament and hits the most overheads, that's the player who wins in the end. With stats, when you go to the net, players don't know stats. They should be managed by stats. And I want to make another comment on stats, but this one, if you go to the net and you win 2 out of 3, it turns into 4 out of 6, 8 out of 12, 16 out of 24. If you would consecutively win 2 out of 3 points, you'd win 6-0, 6-0, but people don't know that. Zverev, I looked at some stats, people sent me stats, what I quickly read. I think he was at 59% of points won when he went to the net. And 59% is a fantastic number. In school, it's an F. If you get a 59% on a test, we always tell people if you get 66%, if you win 2 out of 3 points consecutively, again, you win 6-0, 6-0. Kids don't understand that. They go to the net, they get passed once, and another Bradenism, they don't go back to the net the rest of the month. With grips, okay, that's the reason people don't go to the net. People are taught poor grips. People are taught a severe continental grip. When they have a severe continental grip, the racket's not even facing the court that they're standing on. And with stopping on volleys, not moving through volleys, I would say most coaches, they teach the forehand volley to keep the elbow in, not to keep the elbow out. So bad information. With we're also too coming back to analytics is we're coaching the tennis out of tennis. When we tell someone the first 4 hits, they think, okay, I'm going to slap my serve, slap my return, and try to slap my forehand. So we have kids play 50% tennis, no winners. 50% tennis, no winners. You can't win the point until you get to the net. We have kids play points where if you're at the net, you win a point, you get 3 points. They only keep their own score. They'll just play 4 and 4. One player plays 4 points, the other player plays 4 points. They're not keeping the traditional scoring. They just keep each other's score. Excuse me, they just keep their own score. So, for example, a kid makes an unforced error from the baseline. They change the direction of the ball, they slap the ball wide, that's a -3. If they win the point from the baseline, it's only a +1. If they go to the net and win the point, it's a +3. If they lose, it's a -1. So then they start to understand the differential. When it comes down to patterns, we have people go out on the court and say, okay, here are the patterns. Coming back to junior tennis, you go to a weekend tournament and not see one time where someone does what Zavera did the other day. People are talking about his serve and volley, but they're not talking about how he took that second serve and came in. He hit mostly in the rally, one-handed underspin backhands. But time after time when he came in, he took the return two-handed. He really stepped up and came in on the first opportunity to go for it. We hear in Craig O'Shaughnessy with the Brain Game, he's doing a great job with tennis in bringing stats to the forefront. And I read an article that he wrote based on this match yesterday. But when we hear 4+ tennis, kids still need to go out because Zavera stayed very close to the baseline and he stayed in the rally until he got the right ball. He got the right ball. So there's so many things, but if you don't have a serve, you can't serve and volley. If you don't have a volley, you can't serve and volley. If you don't serve and volley, you don't serve and volley. Kids will go an entire year without serve and volley. I always ask kids, I've coached a lot of kids who become the top 5 players in their section. And I said, okay, tell me in your age group, how many kids serve and volley? They stop and think about it. And many times it's the goose egg. They can't tell you one person they serve and volley. Yeah, facing a lefty, if you're not used to playing a lot of lefties, that was a factor yesterday. But Murray, he's not used to playing serve and volleys. He's ranked #1 in the world. And he's played a lot of tennis where he hasn't been challenged the way he was last night. I apologize about speaking so fast. We've got a clinic to start, but I hope, even if you had to go back and look through this a second time, that you got something out of this, why people don't serve and volley.